Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Good morning, I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow. Here are the stories we're following today.
Karen, we begin in Arizona this morning, the latest in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. Authorities have apparently released a man who was detained in connection with her disappearance. The man, who only wanted to be identified as Carlos, said he was detained after a traffic stop. He spoke with reporters outside his home in Rio Rico, Arizona.
I tried to clear my name. I didn't do anything. Can you tell us your name again? I hope they get the suspect, because I'm not it. They better do their job and find the suspect that did it so they can clear my name, and I'm done.
Carlos added he doesn't know who Nancy Guthrie is or why law enforcement thought he might be connected to her kidnapping. The case has attracted international attention. It took a dramatic turn when the FBI released photos and video images of a possible suspect outside Guthrie's home near Tucson. A video posted on X showed a masked individual wearing gloves approaching a front door with what appeared to be a handgun in a holster, carrying a large backpack. Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. She was reported missing February 1st. Authorities think she was taken against her will, with the suspect disconnecting the camera doorbell.
Well, we do have some tragic news out of Canada overnight, Nathan. At least 10 people are dead, 25 others injured. This is after a mass shooting in a remote town in Western Canada. 8 people died after shots were fired at a school in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, including a woman whom police believe to be the shooter. Authorities say 2 more people were found dead at a nearby home. British Columbia Premier David Eby told reporters that police officers reached the school within 2 minutes, and he spoke at a news conference after the shooting.
It's hard to know what to say on a night like tonight. This is the kind of thing that feels like it happens in other places and not close to home in a way that that this feels for so many British Columbians and Canadians.
British Columbia Premier David Eby noted that authorities are not yet releasing the identity of the suspected attacker. In a statement on social media, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said that he was devastated by the mass shooting, which is Canada's deadliest since 2020.
Let's head to Washington now, Karen, where lawmakers are about to go on the record on President Donald Trump's signature economic policy. The House is set to vote today on whether to reject some of the president's tariff policies, starting with a resolution to repeal his duties on Canadian goods. House Speaker Mike Johnson's been using legislative procedures to delay these votes, but 3 Republicans joined with Democrats in blocking his latest attempt. Republican Congressman Marlin Stutzman of Indiana says the president should have the authority to impose emergency tariffs.
I think we've seen a new sort of using the tariff tool differently than what oftentimes we think of with tariffs. If you're using tariffs to negotiate with other countries, that's good. I mean, if we're going to just put tariffs in place for, in perpetuity, I think that's a whole different conversation.
Indiana Republican Marlin Stutzman appeared on Bloomberg's Balance of Power. The 3 Republicans who pushed for today's vote are Kentucky's Thomas Massie, Kevin Kiley, who's facing a tough re-election in California, and retiring Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon.
Well, Nathan, let's stay in the nation's capital. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will discuss Iran, Gaza, and other regional issues with President Trump during his visit to the White House today. And Bloomberg's Amy Morris has more from Washington.
The U.S. has already demanded Iran give up its ballistic missile program, stop supporting military groups, and end a crackdown on protesters. But Iran wants to limit the talks to its nuclear program. Netanyahu is likely to push President Trump to demand more concessions from Iran in their White House meeting. Now, before he left Israel, Netanyahu told reporters that indirect U.S. diplomacy with Iran tops his agenda, saying that he intends to present President Trump with Israel's view regarding the principles of the negotiation. In Washington, Amy Morris, Bloomberg Radio.
Amy, thanks. Now the latest on the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's come under fire for his appearance in the Epstein files. Lutnick says he did visit the convicted sex offender's private island in 2012. Here's an exchange between Lutnick and Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is facing calls to resign over his relationship with Epstein. The files show their ties were more extensive than previously revealed. The White House says President Trump has no plans to remove Lutnick.
Well, Nathan, the brother of Elon Musk, Kimball, was connected with at least two women through Jeffrey Epstein. Emails released by the Justice Department show conversations between Kimball, Musk, and Epstein as they discuss party plans, relationships, and whether Musk would be able to visit Epstein's island. In a statement, Kimball Musk said his only meeting with Epstein was in his New York office during the day.
Turning to the markets now, Karen, traders are looking to today's delayed January jobs report for clues on whether the Federal Reserve will speed up interest rate cuts. Let's get a preview now from Bloomberg's John Tucker. John.
And Nate, several government officials, including the National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, have warned that the investors should expect lower jobs numbers going forward. Today's report delayed because of the partial government shutdown. That's going to include an annual revision. Now, these changes may make the January payrolls appear very weak. Kathy Jones at Charles Schwab, meantime, sees a drag on the broader economy.
I think what we're seeing is the slowdown in hiring, the tightness in the job market now has probably leaked through to people's confidence in terms of spending and activity.
Economists surveyed by Bloomberg expect only 65,000 jobs created last month, with the unemployment rate holding steady at 4.4%. Now, while a lower jobs number may pressure the Fed to lower rates, Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland President Beth Hammack was among those speaking yesterday. She said she thinks interest rates could be on an extended hold. In New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, John, thank you. In company news, Heineken is going to cut about 7% of its global workforce as the Dutch brewer contends with a drop in beer demand that's also affecting rivals as prices rise and consumers moderate their alcohol consumption. The company said the headcount reduction will come over 2 years as it tries to cut costs, and Heineken shares, they're up 3.5%.
And Ford expects its profit to jump this year, Karen, even after a surprise $900 million tariff bill at the end of last year dented the car maker's earnings. Trump administration informed Ford in December the company could only apply a measure to trim tariffs paid on imported auto parts dating back to November rather than May. That change effectively doubled Ford's tariff toll to $2 billion in 2025. Checking Ford shares in the pre-market, they're up 0.8%.
Nathan, the Seattle Seahawks' resounding defeat of the New England Patriots in Sunday's Super Bowl attracted a TV audience of 124.9 million viewers, host NBC is saying, and that's a 2.2% decline from last year's record. Comcast, NBC, Telemundo, and Universal Networks, as well as its Peacock streaming platform, broadcast the game, which was the second most watched U.S. program ever. Unlike last year, the Super Bowl competed for viewers with the 2026 Winter Olympics, which are also being broadcast by Comcast outlets as part of the company's legendary February sports extravaganza. Time now for a look at some of the other stories making news in New York and around the world. And for that, we're joined by Bloomberg's Michael Barr. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Karen. The National Park Service removed the rainbow flag that flew at the Stonewall National Monument in New York City, designated as the first federal monument dedicated to LGBTQ rights. According to a National Park Service spokesperson, the flag did not conform with guidelines for national monuments. Manhattan Borough President Brad Holyman-Sigel says that the community is sickened, saddened, and distressed after the Trump administration removed the pride flag.
Donald Trump is sending a message to young LGBTQ people, to my generation and others, that you don't belong and that our national monument isn't a place for the flag that represents your struggle.
Manhattan Borough President Brad Holyman-Sigel says that he will join other elected officials to re-raise the flag at the site tomorrow. It looks like the month-long New York City nurses strike is coming to an end. Striking nurses at New York Presbyterian and the hospital came to a tentative agreement. Montefiore and Mount Sinai agreed earlier this week. About 15,000 nurses at all three hospitals will now vote on whether to ratify the contract. If agreed agreed to, most nurses would return to work by Saturday. Amazon's home security company Ring is facing backlash. Its Super Bowl ad promoted an artificial intelligence-driven search party feature that turns a homeowner's doorbell into a neighborhood tracking device for lost dogs. The ad has prompted concerns that Ring cameras could eventually be used to track people or for racial profiling. Ring founder and CEO Jamie Siminoff says the system is meant to help neighbors aid each other.
If there's a dog lost in your neighborhood and it's found in front of your house, we're asking you, do you want to help or not? If you say no, you're not taking part and you're opting out, and no one knows, and it's totally fine. Your privacy is protected.
Ring founder Jamie Siminoff. Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Michael Barr, and this is Bloomberg. Karen.
Thanks, Michael. Time now for our Bloomberg Sports Update, and for that, we bring in John Stashower.
Thanks, Karen. At the Olympics, the U.S. won 5 medals, 3 silver and 2 bronze. The women's hockey team had an impressive 5-0 rout of Canada. The figure skating star Ilya Malinin moved closer to winning the gold medal, but the skiing star Michaela Schifrin had another Olympic disappointment. Justin Verlander began his Hall of Fame career 13 seasons in Detroit. 7 years away from the Tigers. Now he's going back at the age of 43, signed a 1-year contract. That's your Bloomberg Sports Update.
Stay with us. More from Bloomberg Daybreak coming up after this.
Coast to coast on Bloomberg Radio, nationwide on Sirius XM, and around the world on Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg Business app. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
Good morning. I'm Nathan Hager with the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, now into an 11th day. Overnight, authorities in Arizona detained a person for questioning hours after the FBI released surveillance video and photos from Nancy Guthrie's front porch. The search has caught the world's attention, including the White House, where Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump is following the latest developments.
He and I were both reviewing the newly released surveillance footage from FBI in the Savannah Guthrie case on just this heartbreaking situation with respect to her mother.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at the White House. For more, we're joined by Bloomberg's Laura Davison. So, Laura, get us caught up on the latest on this investigation. What do we know about this apparent person of interest? Good morning.
Yeah, so they have not released a lot of details. We do know that there is one person of interest who they apprehended and then released. It's possible there's also a second person that they also have apprehended. No details on exactly how this person is connected to the case or the identity of this person. This really kind of goes to show just how difficult it has been to find suspects in this case. There was a slight breakthrough when the FBI released a video from a Nest camera on Nancy Guthrie's door that showed a masked individual with a backpack trying to dismantle the camera there. But it's unclear, exactly how close they are to actually finding the perpetrator behind this incident.
And of course, we've seen all the videos, the pleas for help from the public from Savannah Guthrie and her brother and sister as well. Apparent communications with purported kidnappers as well. It has led to a lot of speculation about what's going on in this investigation, Laura.
Yes, this is, an investigation that, really from the beginning, they suggested there would be some sort of foul play here, that Nancy Guthrie was taken from her house against her will. This, however, is a real blow to the FBI. Kash Patel has had several situations where they've been slow to catch a killer or were apprehended someone who ended up being not the right person. This was also the case in the Charlie Cook shooting back last year. So this is, something that is continuing to dog the agency and is called into question Kash Patel's leadership of the agency.
I know you're also following the tragedy overnight in Western Canada. What's the latest on this deadly mass school shooting?
Yes, this is one of the worst mass shootings in Canada's history. 10 dead, 25 others injured in this remote town in British Columbia. This is a town of just about 2,500 people. So the scope of the shooting is a huge effect on this community. Mark Carney has already said that he will call off his trip to the Munich Security Conference in the next couple days to stay at home, focus on the national tragedy.
This is Bloomberg Daybreak, your morning podcast on the stories making news from Wall Street to Washington and beyond.
Look for us on your podcast feed by 6 a.m. Eastern each morning on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen.
You can also listen live each morning starting at 5 a.m. Wall Street time on Bloomberg 1130 in New York, Bloomberg 99.1 in Washington, Bloomberg 92.9 in Boston, and nationwide on Sirius XM Channel 121.
Plus, listen coast to coast on the Bloomberg Business app, now with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto interfaces.
And don't forget to subscribe to Bloomberg News Now. It's the latest news whenever you want it, in 5 minutes or less. Search Bloomberg News Now on your favorite podcast platform to stay informed all day long. I'm Karen Moscow.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Join us again tomorrow morning for all the news you need to start your day right here on Bloomberg Daybreak.